at the level of the African Union and bilateral, one cannot say that you do not have bilateral agreements and you must only have an African Union, because as that process is taking place, we must rather find how do we create an interdependent global order aligned with a BRICS plus formation. But again, as the speakers, and in particular Ambassador Mahai said, let's not be naive. The new BRICS formation where I'm sitting is not looking at it from either ideological, anti-imperialist agenda. So I'm making a distinction between what happened in that first trajectory of the BRICS formation to the latter part of the BRICS formation. And even in Africa, not so long ago, a year or two ago, as for example, I think it was last year in Brazil, as for example, Africa had to position itself in the context of BRICS as a force. The new foreign countries that emerged in BRICS plus in Africa voted against a particular agenda. What does that say? It says that we are easily being taken into a space where we are compromising a Pan-African agenda. So the AU today is essentially, after that period about the vision that was put there for 2063, after that period, that 2015 period, Your Excellency, that you've raised, after that period, what we saw a weakening of the nation states model in Africa and the overdependence. You started to see a deployment of the leadership of the Rothschilds and others, particularly into the African experience, particularly into the AU experience. So I don't necessarily. So for me, the question is more, which part of the devil I need to deal with in this case, and I'm arguing that it is therefore better to align in a process where you can put checks and balances. What is that checks and balances that you put? At least you know when you meet China, Africa, if you are able to engage in that in that forum, the FOCAC forum, then you can deal with dignity on it. But do not expect China to do us a favor. What we're supposed to do is we in the nation states of Africa and the AU, and therefore I think one of the questions earlier directed to me related to is the AU current leadership equipped to reshape Africa? I think we're not equipped. The current heads of state in Africa, in the AU, refuse to align itself with the foundation of the OAU, because the Organization of African Union was in a particular paradigm. And that particular paradigm related to how do you create an African focus, an inter-Africa trade process. I mean, when we look at this whole Africa trade and the inter-trade agreements, we're sitting in South Africa, currently, Lady M, where we have in the government of national unity, led by the ANC leadership, we have a scenario where people are saying, Abahambe. We are basically saying to the people that gave Madiba and others, our heroes, the opportunity to have passports from Ethiopia, from Nigeria, we are basically telling them they're not welcome in our country. So that's the conundrum that we're sitting. So we're sitting with a party that was the anchors for liberation in South Africa, that is currently still weakened, but currently still in the GNU leading the government of national unity, but is not able to speak clearly a message when at the level of other sister countries in Africa, because we've gone internal. Nation states and countries are looking at internal. So I want to look at my country, and I want to Nigeria. When we woke up on Christmas Day, there was some invasion, military assault in Nigeria under the guise of Christianity. Under the guise of Christianity. You know, I'm a Christian, but it denied the opportunity for Africa, and that's Nigeria's an important country. As that thing played itself out, what we saw in it is the leadership of the government, I believe, has compromised the process in terms of what Trump did in on that Christmas morning, end of last year in Nigeria. What we require is the following. What we require, I personally believe, is we need to. It is possible. We can reimagine this continent differently. We must invest more in the younger people. So what you are doing is exceptional in terms of how do we ensure that, Lady Madeleine, how do we ensure that this message also reach to the younger generation and create practical, because it is think tanks, it's dialogues that's going to push a particular agenda. Unfortunately so, it's also going to be required that internally in countries, one will have to look at, is our leadership and our country still aligned to a progressive Pan-African agenda in the context of its own constituents? Or are we a willing sell out when it matters? So institutionalization of the state instruments, aligning back very strongly back into an African Union context, making sure that the AU is not compromised to the point around donations, and their donations dictate certain mechanisms. And I think there's a debate required in the bigger nations in Africa. There's Nigeria, there's South Africa, there's a few others. Unless the heads of states of those countries start to actually be very clear and unapologetic and don't speak in a double-tongue way, unless that happens, we will shoot ourselves in the foot. All the wonderful documents, all the wonderful strategies, and civil society at large is not able to move the ground. Civil society at large is able to raise these issues for now, to create the necessary turmoil, and then for the intervention. The last thing about this thing is, how do we also keep, because we must appreciate the fact that you've got two dominant forces. I can literally agree that when it comes to BRICS Plus, it is now less, it's going to be much more just economically. It's much more going to just look at those countries' economic interest. And I'm not speaking China, Russia, I'm speaking Africa, and I'm speaking Middle East, those countries that's in there. But the first point that I've made earlier is BRICS started to be the right model, but there was an attack on it to push it back. And they were successful because they started to attack not China, not Russia initially. They started to attack Brazil and South Africa as part of the nation states. And I agree with the issues about India, China, and a range of stuff. But there were particular interest to break the fold of the South-South relation and the context of BRICS, but precisely in the context of Latin America and Africa converging. And that's what they were able to get right. My question now, and the position that we must take now, is how do we make sure that we deepen an alignment, but also then on our terms? And I think that's the issues that I'm hearing the leadership in the panel has started to raise. How do we do that? And I think we must have more of these sessions, but we must take these sessions into university level.